3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Torres-Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch. I'm Anne-Marije Rook.
And I'm Molly Hurford.
Those were really two exciting races this morning. Well, we will just focus on the women's race.
I was going to say, wait, there was another race this morning? I mean,
there was
good, actually.
And I had to delay the start of the podcast, as you both know, because I was having palpitations, because I'm also like recovering from being sick and having pink eye. And I was about to make myself a cup of coffee, and I'm like, I don't think I need a cup of coffee right now. And I had to take a few minutes to just breathe because that was intense. But yeah, I have a question for you too. Should Milano-Sanremo Donne be called Genoa-Sanremo? Because the race actually starts in Genoa. Like the men's race starts in Milano, but not the women's race.
I feel like Rook and I both have the same look on our face right now of like, yes, but the second you've changed the name, it disassociates it from the men's race, which pros and cons, right? Like, do we want women's racing to just stand on its own? Absolutely. But do people understand it more when it's directly related to a men's race that they've watched for however many years Milano-Sanremo has been going? So I'm torn.
No, that's a fair point. Rook, what do you say?
Yeah. No, I think same thing. I was like, no, they should just start in Milan. But the thing is, they can't, right? Because the distance between Milan and Sanremo is entirely too far.
Yeah, I know. And we were saying earlier. Go ahead, Molly.
I was going to say, let's be clear here. It's not that it's too far for women to ride. It's too far, technically speaking, because of UCI regulations for how long women's races can be. Also, as I think we've said a bunch of times, we don't really need that much distance in a bike race. Like, come on. It just gets boring at some point. But it's not that they can't ride that far. They're just not allowed to.
Yeah. Also, like if they were to change that rule, then they could move the beginning from Genoa to a little further, and then the race name would have to change again or something. But I'm sure there's a lot of examples of races that no longer start or finish exactly where their name says, and just because of tradition, they stay the same.
Yeah. I think the bigger offender to me personally is the fact that we keep adding Donne or women's or femme or whatever to these races as though the men's version is the standard and we have to add the disclaimer that this is the women's version. Like we don't call it Milan-Sanremo. I don't know the Italian word for men, but you know what I mean? Like, we don't call
uomini, it would be.
You know what I mean? Like we don't do that. Like we don't call it the Tour de France we call it, but we do say the Tour de France Femme, and I don't love that.
Yeah, no, but I actually have seen a few journalists out there who will add the ohms, and I think just as of late that maybe they're of a similar train of thought as we are. But yeah, I guess for now, maybe it's just a good marketing thing to make it easy for people to find their races. The races then can share the same website because they have very similar names. And maybe eventually with time we can move on to just having our own names and our own races, and like the default is just us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But you also had another point about should we be anglicizing any of these race names? And it is interesting, like some of the races kind of automatically get anglicized and others don't. Like I can't imagine calling the Vuelta a España like the Tour of Spain. That just does not make sense.
I've seen it
to me.
though. I've seen it by I will not mention which online publication has done it, but I've seen it. But I guess
we say Tour of Flanders, and I'm like, no, it's the Ronde van Vlaanderen. And it's because no one can pronounce it that we say that.
Yeah, I think it's more selective based on how difficult it is to pronounce for most people. But yeah, I do like it when we keep it as close to the to the real name as possible, because also I know this is very minor because people will say Milan-Sanremo, but it's Milano-Sanremo. It's like you don't have to cut the O, but yeah, whatever, it's fine. These are very, very little things to be nitpicky about. Yeah, but they can definitely be hot topics as well. But anyway, should we get started?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, hello and welcome back to the Queen Stage Women's Cycling Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Silca. For over a century, Silca has been the gold standard for cycling performance, from their game-changing hot melt wax and super secret chain lube to their high-performance tubeless sealants. But what we love most isn't just the watts they save us. It's their genuine commitment to supporting women's cycling in all its forms. Do your drivetrain a favor and check them out at silca.cc. I'm your co-host, Rosael Torres-Davis, and I'm joined today by
Molly Hurford in a very warm van in Tucson with very bad internet.
and
Anne-Marije Rook in Portland, Oregon.
Nice. How's the weather in Portland?
Beautiful, actually. I'm dying to get out there and ride my bike.
Yeah, it's actually it's going to be in the 60s today here in Philadelphia, so I'm hoping to get out later, at least for a walk, because I'm still recovering. But anyway, today we're breaking down Milano-Sanremo Donne, or Sanremo Donne. Not sure. RCS Sports, the people who organize the race, need to make up their mind about what to call it. And also, while they're doing that, they can tell us why is it not just called Genoa-Sanremo. But before that, don't forget to tell all your friends about this podcast, and remember to subscribe and leave us a rating or review to help other people find the show. And if you have a tech or mechanic questions or just really, really nice things to tell us, don't forget to send them to us at info@queenstage.cc or reach out to us on Instagram at queenstage.cc. All right, Molly. I think you have some historical nuggets to share with us.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, on the topic of the name of this race, it started with an even kind of stranger name. So while it's only been back in its current form for a year, Milano-Sanremo Donne started as Primavera Rosa and ran between 1999 and 2005. And we could have a whole conversation about why it was a completely different name back then and what they were thinking with that. But anyway, back then it was 120 kilometers. The peloton was still going up the same iconic Cipressa, Poggio, finale, often won by aggressive solo attacks, not sprints like we often see in the men's race. Although that might be changing. Just a little foreshadowing here. Because the race disappeared for actually 2 decades due to lack of investment, and then returned in 2025 as a 156-kilometer world tour race starting in, as we've mentioned, Genoa.
Now, Rook, can you summarize the race for us? Because a lot happened. You know, Milano-Sanremo can go a few different ways, or maybe just 2 different ways. Usually it's really boring in the beginning before it gets exciting. But I think we did have a little early excitement.
Yeah, I mean, Milan-Sanremo is a race that is really played out in the last third of the race. They call it, in the men's side anyway, the longest day of the year. And really, if few people tune in for the whole race, if you're going to want to watch the excitement, you got to tune in right before the key climbs. But the women's race started off in Genoa, as we said, or Genova in Italian. And as usual, it started off with some long, fast, and flat miles along the Ligurian coast. And, it took about an hour for the first break to form, with 9 riders getting up the road. These were mostly Conti riders, a lot of Italians. But we did see a nice little cameo of Demi Vollering's younger sister, Bodina Vollering, in the mix. She rides for Volker Wessel, and also my former teammate, Eddie Frans of St. Michel Uber 93. So shout out to them. They built a gap of about 4 minutes, but SD Worx-Protime was keeping things firmly under control. As the race hit the key climbs, the pace really ramped up. Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney was out there really wanting to make this race one of her own. And she's trying really hard to attack and split up the group, but she wasn't able to break anyone's legs. And it was actually Lieke Nooyen of Visma Leasebike that launched a solo move right before the summit and took off with a little gap. The descent is extremely fast, extremely tricky, a lot of turns, and Kasia, just doing what she does best, just bombed down the descent, trying to make a difference. But she may have gone a little too fast as she crashed in one of the corners, and it was a blind corner. She crashed into the barriers and ended up piling up a whole bunch of riders behind her, including riders like Kim LaCourte. And then some riders had some just plain somersaults over the group of riders that had crashed on the ground and onto the ground below. And it was probably one of the nastiest crashes I've seen since Rio with Annemiek van Vleuten.
Yeah, that was nasty. And I wonder, because I know they do recons of these descents. But from what I understand, when they do the recons, not both sides of the road are open for the riders, or maybe it is in some sections and not in others. So even when you do the recon, yeah, like, and it's the same for the men, that you don't get to use the whole road like you would do. Yeah, when
Yeah,
both
like the
lanes are
men
open
have
in
been
the race.
racing this road for how long? So they really know what it feels like at race pace when you get to use both lanes and just get to go for it. And the women, as you mentioned, they may not have seen the whole road. They have not seen this climb before, except for maybe last year. And yeah, she was really putting on the hurt, and we couldn't see what exactly happened, how she lost control, if she just ran into the barrier, but it was scary. And I should probably pause here and share that the Liberal rider who made that really bad crash and was motionless for so long was conscious by the time they took her to the hospital. So that's good news. Kim LaCourte spoke to some reporters after the race, saying that Kasia was responsive when she talked to her. So yeah, that's good news, or at least a silver lining in this time.
Yeah, and go ahead, Molly.
I was going to say, yeah, that was scary to watch. They showed it a couple times, obviously. So I want to get both of your takes. The HBO Max commentators kept kind of apologizing for them showing the crash again. And what's our feeling on showing that moment over and over? Because I kind of understand why they were apologizing. They kept saying, like, sorry, we're showing this again. Like, we don't control the feed. It's just coming through. And I was a little,
I agree.
It's
like, I don't think we should be watching that over and over again. Like, that was, especially that Liberal rider falling over
the flip.
Yeah, especially when you don't know the current state of the riders. 'Cause I think that's what I've heard, like the rule, because there's no rules really around this. It's like up to, I guess, HBO or who's controlling that right now. Or I guess are the people. Yeah, never mind. But that if you know that the riders are okay, sometimes it's kind of like they forgive it, that you keep replaying it. But at that point, they did not know if the riders were okay. Yeah, but at least it was nice to see, because Kim LaCourte did go down with Kasia, and she stayed to check that Kasia was okay and all that, and speak with her. So it was just also nice to see those gestures, because it was bad, because then other people kept crashing. But anyway, but to be clear, because I know there's going to be some haters out there, there were plenty of crashes in the men's race as well. There always are. It's part of racing, and yeah, it's just a shame, and I hope everybody's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So from that crash onwards, we were a little unsure what was going to happen, because that really split up the group. But it was Nguyen who continued to dangle out on front, with the peloton kind of regrouping behind her. And as the Poggio approached, we knew that she was going to be on borrowed time. We knew that the favorites were going to catch her. And it was actually Nikola Noskova from Covidis who attacked early, and Puck Pieterse who really lit up the top of that climb, with Lotte Kopecky and Noemi Ruek glued on her wheel. Gasparini from UAE and her teammate, I'm going to butcher her name so badly, Lodarczyk of UAE, they were both bridging, and they formed a select group of 5. When they crested the climb together and flew down the descent, they ended up having a small gap. And SD Worx in that moment had several cards to play, because Lorena Wiebes, last year's winner, was sitting in the front, never far from the front to counter should Kopecky be in danger at the front, but they managed to keep their gap. And I feel like they all started their sprint at the same time, but it was Kopecky who took the win right in front of Noemi Ruek, and Gasparini of UAE rounding out the podium for 3rd.
That was pretty fun. Pretty good to watch. What do you think, Molly?
Fun. Oh my gosh, so fun. Yeah. And I mean, to see an Italian, so Gasparini's Italian, see her come in 3rd. Of course, the crowd is going completely bonkers for that. La Kopecky, like, oh, that sprint, Kopecky and Rueg, like, I did not think EF had it in them to have a sprint like that. I was so stoked.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
Rook got third here last year too. Like this is one like I was gonna talk about her in a little bit, but this is a rider I'm definitely keeping my eye on because she was very impressive, very good at positioning throughout the race. We know she got on the podium here last year, and this year she nearly got away with the win.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I think that the early races that are happening in January and February are useful and important because Noemi Ruick has done really well on the Tour Down Under the last 2 years. And yeah, it's just like I knew she's like up and comer. She had finished third, last year at Milano-Sanremo, and now second. And let's see if she can make it first top spot in the podium next year.
Oh, what we didn't mention is so Marianne Vos wasn't there. She dropped out a couple days before the start, so she wasn't on the start line. She was sick. Why wasn't Demi Vollering there? I feel like I have not been following my cycling gossip as much this week.
Actually, Marianne Vos had to drop out because her father's unwell. Her father's health is in critical condition, so she flew home yesterday to be with him. And Elisa Longoborghini had to sit this one out because of illness as well.
Yeah.
Demi Vollering, I don't think this is the right race for her per se.
I was gonna say, yeah. Yeah, I think she said so. She said so after finishing last year. They did it last year as the first time for them to see, but they kind of suspected that it was not hard enough. And I think we saw it today where multiple people attacking the climbs and they really were not able to get quite a gap. But yeah, I mean, I wish Puck Pieterse also always does so well in this type of race, and I would have liked to seen her up there a little further. I mean, she did finish fourth place, so it's not bad.
Yeah. I would love to see Puck if her team, like if she had teammates that could work for her. I'd be so interested in what happens to her because she has such a strong attack, but then it always feels like she's just kind of out there on her own. And I know she has strong teammates. Yeah. It's not like she doesn't, but I feel like if they rallied around Puck, I think she could win some races.
Yeah, and also something else is like with Lotte Kopecky. She seems to be in better form coming into this season. Not that she did not have a terrible last year, but in 2024, I think she was much more formidable. And it was really fun to see her and Lorena Wiebes just be such good teammates to each other because it seems that the plan could have gone either for either of them. But once Lorena Wiebes saw that her teammate had the win, I think she also like on the last descent, she kind of like didn't take it as fast as she could have. And she said it at an interview. And it must feel so nice to have a teammate that you can fully trust is actually going to do that and not chase you down in a race that they could really win themselves as well.
Yeah. No, they played that really well. An interesting thing too, though, I wanted to mention about Puck Pieterse team, the Phoenix team, is that they now have Charlotte Kool, who is the only sprinter that has been able to compete with Wiebes thus far. And she was there, but she just can't climb as well as Wiebes can. But she still finished ninth, which is interesting to keep an eye on that dynamic between Puck Pieterse and Charlotte Kool.
Yeah, I did notice that because I admit at first I was like, does Puck have any teammates whatsoever? And then I started going down the list. I was like, oh, okay, she does. And Charlotte Kool is very, very good, but they don't like their skill sets do not really suit each other to like support each other necessarily, I would say.
Yeah.
Do you know how much longer she has on that contract with Phoenix Ecunik? I wonder if she's looking at other teams or other teams are looking at her.
Pieterse or Kool?
Puck Pieterse, yeah.
I would love to see her on Vos and Ferran Prevot's team, just the three of them together. It'd be just cyclocross superstardom. I would love it.
Yeah, actually, that could be really good, and she could learn a lot from Marianne Vos because, I mean, they're very similar riders. Yeah. Oh man. All right. So let's see. Should we move on to this beautiful pop quiz that I have prepared for the two of you?
I'm so nervous. Right. All right, Queen Stage listeners, it's time to see if Rook and Molly have been paying attention to my emails, if they have just been dreaming of the Poggio. Since today we recap the long snooze fest that can be Milano-Sanremo Donne, though this year I don't think that was the case, it is clear that efficiency is the name of the game. It's a long day in the saddle where every watt saved in the first 140 kilometers of the race can help you explode on the Via Roma like we saw Lotte Kopecky do today. Our friends at Silca know a thing or two about
saving those watts. So Rook and Molly, just raise your hands when you have the answer. It's going to be a combination of true and false, multiple selection, etc. And yeah, here is your Silka Smooth is Fast pop quiz. Okay, round 1. True or false? The grease that comes on a brand new chain straight out of the box is a high-performance lubricant designed for your first 200 miles. Rook.
False.
False. You want to explain?
Yeah, the lubricant or the material the tackiness that's on your chain when you first get it out of the packaging is there only to keep your chain safe and nice and shiny and rust-free during transport. It actually doesn't do much good for your riding.
Ding, ding, ding. Good job, Brooke. Excellent. You know what? I actually did not know that. Because I always just take my bike to the mechanic and let them deal with the waxing and all that stuff. But that may change. Okay, let's see. Question number 2. Silka refers to a certain product category as snake oil or a complete scam that destroys drive change. Which one is it? Wait. A, hot melt wax. B, synergetic wet lube. C, dry or ceramic lubes. D, olive oil, the Italian method. Wait, no, sorry, Molly. Molly had it. At first, I'm going to let Molly take this one. Go ahead, Molly.
Dry or ceramic lube, Rosael.
Yes, correct. And this is because...
Don't use olive oil. Also not a good choice.
No. Yeah, so it is correct. C, dry or ceramic lubes, they often fail to stop metal-on-metal contact and can actually act an expensive way to just wear your components. All right, so we have a tie right now. Let's move on to round 2. Okay.
You realize for 2 racers, this is like a very stressful time for us.
I'm stressed too. I'm stressed out too. I'm like, oh my God. Milano-Sanremo Donne is a long race. So if a rider is putting out 250 watts, a clean and lubricated chain usually achieves 94 to 99% efficiency. What is the potential wattage penalty or power loss if that chain is dirty or poorly lubricated? A, 2 watts. B, 5 watts. C, up to 12 watts or more. Molly?
See?
Well,
gonna go
Molly,
C, 12 watts or more.
Correct. Yeah, so Rook, you were also going to be correct, but Molly, raise her hand first.
Well, I should mention, there's a significant delay. I can't see Molly at all, so I'm just like guessing.
Fine. But
Should I use the bike bells?
Anyways, but yeah, in a race that comes down to a sprint finish, losing 12 watts to a grinding pace or dirty oil is the difference between a podium or the bus, right? So 4th, let's see, we are right now 2 Molly, 1 Rook. Okay, so let's see.
No scorekeeping. This is terrifying.
So this is an open question. So you raise your hand if you have the answer.
Shout it out since I can't see Molly.
Yes, you can.
There.
Why does hot wax keep your chain cleaner than traditional oil?
Because nothing sticks to hot wax. The dirt doesn't take to hot wax.
Yeah. I'll just add to that it's because the hot wax solidifies, right? It's not like a liquid that is moving between the little pieces of metal in your chain. And, a gooey thing is going to attract more dirt and all that. But yeah, very impressed. So we are tied. Let's see. One more question to break the tie. Let's see. Okay. So this one is about which is the right product to use for this scenario. Okay. This is a tiebreaker. If the clouds open up and Milano-Sanremo Donne becomes a total washout, which Silka lubricant is actually recommended for regularly wet conditions because it repels water and prevents rust better than wax? Molly?
Synergistic or synergy lube? I forget the exact name. I know it starts with synergetic.
Synergetic?
Yeah, synergetic.
There we go.
Well, Rook, do you have the correct name? No.
Not without Googling.
No, the synergetic wet lube is the highest rated oil-based lubricant ever tested, making it the go-to for riders who prioritize quietness and durability in the rain over the clinical cleanliness of wax. So you see, that's also a good case where maybe wax is not going to be the way to go. Okay, so Molly, you win, and you win
That was
nothing.
a tie.
Yeah, well, maybe because you get half a point deducted for not knowing the full name.
It's true. Yeah, that did not totally count.
Fun. Thank you for participating. I had fun putting this quiz together because there were just too many good facts to have questions around.
Love the concept of chain wax. As far as just a meditative thing to do for your bike, having an old crock pot or rice cooker that you're just doing your hot wax in. I think there's just something so romantic about it. As far if you want to romanticize your bike maintenance, wax feels like the way to do it.
Yeah, I actually
absolutely. I have a total routine. If I know I'm going to be going somewhere, traveling. Anytime I travel with my bike, I hot wax. I mean, I hot wax my chains in general. But if I'm going somewhere, I love setting up that evening, doing a couple change all at once, and going through the motions. I have my whole setup, my ultrasonic cleaner, my whole I'm just such a nerd out there, and it's way more gratifying to me than dusting my house or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that sounds fun. And also, I really love about. I mean, I don't I don't do it myself at home, though I may get started. But it's just so nice to not have a dirty chain that is going to leave marks on your legs when you are clumsily getting off and on the bike. Yeah, it's just nice, and you have to take care of it a lot fewer times a year. So
I mean, out here in Portland, I will say, you are going to be swapping out your chains quite a bit because it is so wet, and as we just heard, in wet conditions, hot wax isn't always the best solution. So, if you live somewhere wet like I do, I just have. I think I have 4 or 5 chains in rotation.
Yeah. No, when I used to race and train, basically I would have a chain that would be for dirty days and a nicer chain for days where I needed maximum efficiency, which reminds me too that I remember learning this about chain wax and chains that, then if you're going to do it at home, when you buy that chain that comes from the store, you have to strip the grease that comes with it, not just put it in the what do you call it, the crock pot.
Mm-hmm. It kind of occurs to me, it's sort of so you wax your chain and you wax your legs. It's sort of the opposite is lubing your chain with oil and then shaving your legs. It works, but it's maybe just not as efficient or effective. Maybe you can just do both at the same time, right? You're waxing your chain while you're just waxing your legs. I don't know if anyone's tried it. Just throwing it out there.
I'm getting so many visuals, ideas for photo shoots and
right.
Yeah. All right. So, was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about today?
I actually have a question for y'all.
Yeah. What is it?
This week, this is not necessarily cycling related, but there was news this week that FIFA has mandated that women's teams in FIFA tournaments are now required to have a female assistant or head coach. So going forward at FIFA World Cups, at U23, whatever, any of these tournaments that they do, they are expecting to see women coaches, which is a very interesting development and one that draws a lot of critique and a lot of advocates as well. And I was wondering what you thought if there was such a mandate in place at the World Tour.
I'd love to see that. I mean, because it would just keep more women in cycling, provide careers, for people who are retiring as riders. That's always has been a tough, I know that professional riders talk about this a lot, that there's not an easy pipeline for what to do with your life after work. And this could help, with that. And it just makes sense to, have woman leading woman.
And they understand it better too. I mean, not to suggest that there aren't men that can't, I'm married to one. He's a wonderful coach. He can coach women too. He's great. But I do think when you're talking about the World Tour, women, especially women who've been racing, understand it better than any DS of a men's team necessarily could. And I think also, we're not saying that you can't have any men. It's just going to be an entirely women's only program, which I also would love anyway. But I think anyone that's critiquing it is seeing that headline and taking it to mean you're kicking men out of cycling or kicking men out of soccer, which is obviously not actually the case. Bringing one in is actually a pretty unimpressive, it's a pretty low bar. You got to have somebody, just one woman. That's all we're asking for. So yeah, I'm a fan.
What do you think, Rook?
I can see both arguments. Like, you want to hire the best person for the job, regardless of gender. But I think that over time, these kind of initiatives like Title IX have shown that it really makes a difference when you make a mandate that encourages more women to enter the sport. And as you said, there's not enough career opportunities for women beyond racing. And I think this just the sheer encouragement of filling these roles with women is a wonderful start.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of more good things happening to women cycling, though it could be debatable because we'll see what you think. But to complete all 5 monuments, it looks like RCS is going to be is planning to have the first ever edition of Il Giro de Lombardia Donne, which will be the female version of Il Lombardia, to debut in 2027. And that would complete, like I said, the 5 cycling monuments. Thoughts on that?
I mean, yay. Great to have all the monuments.
Yeah. I guess my hot take is that, and I know I'm going to get hate email about this, but all emails are welcome here. Is that I have never really cared about Il Lombardia. It's like the monument that I always forget when I'm like listing all 5. I think it happened so late in the year. Also, at least the men's race has just been so dominated by Pogačar on a season that is usually very dominated by Pogačar. So I don't know, the last 5 years or so I have tuned out. So I guess it depends on where is it placed on the calendar. I guess it will be the same day as the men's race or the day after. But yeah, I guess the take is I never really cared about Il Lombardia very much.
No, I agree. That's why I was shrugging. I was like, yay, we'll have the same, like, parity is great, right? I want all 5 monuments available to women as well. It's just, like you, it's in October. Like, by then I am so checked out on road racing and focused on cyclocross that, I think I personally don't really care for it either. I
almost like wish that I don't know, like, for example, Alfredo Binda is like the oldest race in women's cycling, and it stands alone. There's no male counterpart. I kind of feel we should just, instead of having everything that the men have, we should just start coming up with our own races that are just born out of, I don't know, like just creating our own adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think I've said this on the podcast back during like Tour de France Femmes of X Swift, but like I kind of have such a distaste for when we only care about women's races that are attached to men's races, and then we forget about the women's races that have been like putting in the work for the last like 20 years and like fighting the good fight. And we actually see those races disappearing in part because some of these, traditionally men's races are realizing, oh, there's money to be made with if we add a women's race. So I'm always like a little nervous about which women's races are actually the ones that have been trying so hard, which one, if any of them are going to like lose out because now we have more of these races coming online.
Yeah. I guess it's a careful walking of the line of sustainability for the peloton. I mean, I don't know, just from where I'm sitting and watching these races from Philadelphia, so far it feels sustainable, but I guess it would be an interesting to ask the teams and like the CPA and the Cycling Alliance and all that what their thoughts are on the sustainability of the current calendar.
Yeah, I mean, to that end, I would love to see a women's Paris-Nice or Tirreno Adriatico. Like, those 2 races are extremely exciting. It's just the calendar doesn't allow for women to join these races, and that is to say the women's teams aren't large enough. There's not enough riders for them to send riders to each of these races the same way that the men are doing right now. So in that regard, having an October race would actually be kind of safe because there's not a lot of competition for racing at that time. But I think if I get to add a race of my choosing to the women's calendar, it would maybe be Paris-Nice.
Yeah. By the way, if any of you could ride one of the 5 monuments, like let's say you could borrow legs from a pro rider and ride one of the 5 monuments, which one would it be?
I'll let you go first, Molly.
Oh, I mean, kind of has to.
It's hard, right? Yeah, I know. I mean, so I have to say, okay, well, you think, I'll say, and I may change my mind another time, but for me it will be Paris-Roubaix. But I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna hate even with the best legs of the peloton. I'm gonna hate the cobbles. But if I only get to do it once and I have to pick one, that would be it. Also, like not a lot of climbing. No climbing.
Yeah, I was gonna go Paris-Roubaix too, which is very like cyclocrossy of me, but also like that track finish, right? Like just iconic.
We did. Yeah, I mean, Paris-Roubaix for me, like when I was racing, that was definitely more of my style of race. Like not a lot of climbing, very hard, and the harder the better. So yeah, probably Paris-Roubaix. Liège is also a really nice course, and it's got some like punchy climbs, and I'd probably like to do that one as well.
Nice. Molly, you were saying?
I was just going Paris-Roubaix, like the track finish at the end, like does it get more iconic than riding around that velodrome, right? Like can't beat it.
Yeah, definitely. And Molly, you were at Mid-South last week. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If you're a gravel race fan and you haven't been to Mid-South, this one should be on your bucket list. It is such a fun weekend. This is the first year they moved the gravel pro race to Friday. They started at 1 p.m. So the pros were racing sort of at the time that everyone was there getting their packets. So it really felt like a proper, like, oh, cool, we actually get to watch the pros finish, and it's super exciting and tons of people out. The women's race came down to like a 9-up sprint. Well, really like four people in like the final sprint. 5 if you count Lauren Stevens, who was like a second behind. But holy smokes, it was so cool. You just heard like they just yelling down the road like the women are coming, and then it was just mayhem. Fia Gomez-Villafañe won in a epic sprint with her new teammate, and I'm going to butcher her name, Gericke Schurz? Apologies to her.
Gericke Schurz. Yeah.
Gericke Schurz? Okay.
There we go.
She goes by G
there
to
we
make
go.
it easier.
There we
for
go.
her.
Okay. G Schurz. No, yeah, I was
Yeah.
surprised.
So
I
that
mean,
was amazing.
Yeah, I was surprised because I guess I haven't seen Sofia Gomez-Villafañe in a sprint like that. And I didn't know she had it in her. And, you know, it could have been, I would have thought if I had to choose who's the best sprinter out of the two, I would have chosen Schurz for, I don't know, no reason, just by how maybe she looks stronger or something, is a bigger rider. But yeah.
No,
like
remember Unbound though? Remember that Unbound where G let out Sarah Sturm?
Right. Yeah. Well, you're right. Anyway, very impressed with Gomez-Villafañe. And tell us about your experience.
I love her in
Which
gravel.
race did you do?
Yeah, I did the 50K run, which I love that this gravel race has a run because I think it like opens it up to way more people. They have a half marathon and then a 50K. So I did the 50K and it was super fun. I finished second, got smoked by a girl who I think was from Oklahoma State University, who just like blew by me at mile 20 and just like she was gone. But it was okay. It was super fun. Really, really good course and just such a cool vibe. The coolest part, though, comes Saturday night. So Friday's the pros, Saturday's the like everyman gravel race. And the coolest part is they do this DFL party, so Dead Effing Last party. And it kind of starts around 9 p.m. A band is playing. And then the excitement just starts building and building and building. So by the time the last person comes in, I think it was like 11:45 this year, there's literally a band at the finish line. I was Belle and the Vertigo Waves, I think was the name of it. Super fun band. Everyone's just going completely bananas for this rider. Like they look like they have won the Tour de France. It was so cool to see this like celebration of the people that are just out there all day working so hard. Because I don't know about you two, but like whenever I'm in a race like that and, you know, like I'm riding or running or whatever, and it's a lot of hours, I feel like I'm tired, but then I finish. And then you see people that finish like an hour later, 2 hours later, whatever. And you're like, holy crap, they have worked so hard for so much longer. So I love it. Celebration of the human spirit. Always here for it.
Yeah, it seems that race just keeps perfecting or the event overall keeps perfecting like the logistics and the timing of things to keep people in, to use organic like flow of people walking around as, you know, and as and making them engage in other activities too. And just like, I don't know if they had done the band before at the finish line, but I was looking at the videos and people were dancing and the energies were so good. It's like, yeah, give me a reason to, now I'm thinking of that song anyway. Give me a reason to stay at the finish line in my dirty clothes or to come back after taking a shower.
Please come back after taking a shower. The amount of people that were hanging out in chamois for far too long was a little terrifying to me. But
yeah, like I'm not a fan of being hugged after a race like that, but this is a race that could change my mind about that.
Gotta get your Bobby hug.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Rook, have you raced Mid-South before?
No, I have not.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't either, but I think I like to go for doing some underground reporting or just some partying.
Mm-hmm.
Worth it.
Worth it.
Should we leave it here? Is there anything else you would like to discuss? So we're good. All right. So that is it for today at Queen Stage. We will be back with a recap and an analysis of Ronde van Vlaanderen on Sunday, April 5th. Big thanks to Silke. Thank you, Silke, so much for supporting this podcast. And don't forget to send your tech-related questions or any really nice things you want to tell us to info@queenstage or reach out on Instagram at queenstage.cc. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with more race and analysis and stories from the women's peloton.